Brazil as hosts were surprisingly beaten by 7 goals in this match. This defeat is very memorable and will continue to be a bad historical record in the world of Brazilian football. Even the world will always remember it. How can a Brazilian team playing in front of their own supporters lose so badly? Let's discuss together. Brazil played without Neymar and Thiago Silva, who were replaced by Bernard and Dante. They played their standard 4-2-3-1 formation, with the front four supported by a double pivot of Gustavo and Fernandinho. Germany, on the other hand, played a 4-3-3 formation that often looked more like a 4-1-4-1 when defending. Germany will use a high defensive line to limit Brazil's area of play. Bastian Schweinsteiger, as a defensive midfielder, will maintain the space between the lines by moving left and right or pushing forward. Early in the game, we saw Germany isolate Brazil's midfielders to prevent them from moving forward. Brazil built up with one of their pivots, dropping parallel to the defender, and the setup at the back became 3-1. Germany used a high press with Kroos and Khedira, going up to press Fernandinho and Luis Gustavo. Khedira's press was a corner press, first closing Gustavo's access by moving in a circle, then pressing Dante. This would limit Dante's options to only going forward. When Khedira and Kroos push forward, the space behind them will be empty. When exposed by Brazil, Schweinsteiger will step up and aggressively push forward. This is the use of one defensive midfielder, whose position hangs in front of the defender and behind the midfielder. This German defense allowed Brazil to keep possession for the first 30 minutes, but allowed them to make minimal progress forward. Coupled with Muller's quick goal off a corner, Germany played reactively, letting Brazil have the ball and then immediately reducing it as soon as they entered the defensive area. On this first goal, Brazil seemed to use man-to-man marking, which Germany took advantage of to create an empty zone. Muller, the scorer, was the player Luis had to guard. Germany were smart enough to take advantage of this defensive weakness by having close block Luis. Brazil played more of the ball in their own zone, or long balls for forward progressions. However, Germany's high line wasn't exposed much because Brazil's forward line only relied on Fred, who doesn't have the speed to bypass the German defense's high press. And Brazil's disaster came quickly, a combination of Germany's determination and David Luiz's poorly coordinated defense. In just 6 minutes, 4 goals found their way into Julio Cesar's net. We saw how Thomas Müller exposed the Brazilian defense with his ability to read space. In this goal, it was clear that Brazil's poor defense of Dante, guarding Müller and Luis guarding close, was not involved in the defensive action that led to the goal. This defensive problem continued for the third goal. Luis and Dante were too focused on Lahm's ball and were more prepared to anticipate a low cross, even though Klose was far enough away to receive Lahm's cross and was relatively protected by Maicon. Had Luis and Dante coordinated well and not both been equally focused on the ball, one defender could have closed off the cutback option. In addition, the midfielder's delay in getting down and closing the cutback option also left 2 German players free. When Müller failed, Kroos was clinical. Then, the fourth goal was also the result of the Germans' defense. Kroos's foresight in going up to press and Fernandinho's unawareness made this goal come just seconds after the third goal. It also appeared that Germany pushed Khedira forward to press, and Kroos followed suit with perfect timing. Just 3 minutes later, Germany scored another goal that further exposed the fragility of Brazil's defense. Not only in the defensive sector, But here Hummels, who is a defender, easily eliminates the first line of press, namely Brazil's front and midfield. And the highlight of many people is David Luiz. The defender, who was playing for Chelsea at the time, rose to leave his post during the press. An action that wasn't necessary, considering that there was already a midfielder. Judging from the heat maps, David Luiz's movements are too wide or too spread out for a defender's size, more like the heat maps of a midfielder. In this match, you could say that David Luiz was less disciplined in defending his area. After the fifth goal, Germany dominated possession and created several scoring opportunities, although they failed to add to their lead. In the second half, Brazil attempted to address their first half issues by substituting Fernandinho, who had made several mistakes and was easily breached. Ramirez also entered the game, switching positions with Bernard, as Hulk's area on the left side was frequently exploited by Lahm. This was largely due to Hulk's tendency to be late tracking back. Nevertheless, Brazil continued to struggle in building their attacks, often relying on ineffective long passes. Furthermore, whenever Brazil's attacks reached Germany's defense via the flanks, their crosses were relatively easy to clear. Brazil clearly aimed to overcome their deficit by launching an all-out attack, but their opportunities continued to be thwarted by the impressive Neuer. Meanwhile, Germany attempted to slow down the tempo and maintain possession. This forced Brazil to commit several fouls in an effort to quickly gain possession of the ball. Amidst their efforts to catch up, Brazil conceded 2 more goals in the 69th and 79th minutes to substitute André Schürrle, who once again exploited Brazil's poor defense. Dante's ball watching allowed Schürrle to make a clever dismarking run, while Marcelo was late to drop back and support the defense. Schürrle found himself unmarked by Luiz, who was once again late to retreat and defend.